Hello and welcome to Hamer Reviews. My name's Christopher Hamer and today we're reviewing the Joby Wavo Lav Pro. Now I've already reviewed the Wavo Air wireless lav mic kit, which is linked above at the moment, so do check that out if you haven't already. But this is a supplemental lav mic that you can buy from Joby, which promises broadcast quality sound for just £70. Now, I record all of my videos with a lav mic. I use the Sennheiser XSWD kit and specifically the ME2 lav mic that comes with that, though you can buy it separately for around £100. The Joby Wavo Air microphone costs £70, so is quite an interesting proposition at that price point. Now, although I'd probably argue that the Wavo Lav Pro has been designed to work really well with the Wavo Air kit, the fact of the matter is that you can use this with any 3.5mm input that you have. So whether that's another wireless lav kit, whether that's like the Rode Wireless Go 2, or directly into your mobile phone or your laptop, this will work just as well regardless of what you're connecting it to. Now, one word of warning though, if you do that, try and connect it up to something where you can control the output audio, because I have found this is a surprisingly loud microphone, which is actually a good thing, but it does mean that you're going to probably want to turn the gain down a little bit if you can. Interestingly, on my Sennheiser kit, I can't actually adjust the volume, but as I record through an external recorder, I can turn it down there, but if it was straight into, say, the XSWD kit into a camera with no adjustment, that would be a bit of a problem. So £70 is both a lot of money and not a lot of money in the world of audio. Obviously, it's not, super cheap, but I would argue what they're delivering here for £70 is pretty impressive. Promising broadcast quality sound is, to be fair, no mean feat. That is a high level to want to achieve, and actually I think they have done. The sound that you get from this microphone is really warm. It's very sort of direct and astute. It sounds very broadcast-like, which is exactly what they said they were going for. So in many ways, they have achieved that. In addition, you get 2.5 meters of cable, which is great, means you can easily hide it, and perhaps more importantly, the actual capsule on this is tiny, covered with a tiny little foam little wind stopper, just I think more so you don't get a lot of noise when you knock it by accident or it rests up against some clothes. But because it's so small, and the whole thing, even with the cable, only weighs about 17 grams, this is easy to hide underneath clothes. So one of the things you might want to do is you may want to remove the actual clip for your, so clip it onto a shirt or whatever, and you may want to actually, you could stick it, for instance, to someone's chest with a piece of sticky tape. Try to use something that's body safe, otherwise it's going to be very painful for that person potentially. But doing so actually would allow you to completely hide the microphone and wouldn't really impede its function. You might not know this, but quite often people have microphones hidden underneath clothes as it's a way of making them a little less obvious. And it also has a very nice clip on it, just so that you can easily pop it on your clothes and continue talking without having to worry about it. So overall, this is very, very well designed. Given that the capsule is so small, 5mm, just to take that little cover off again, it's easy to hide, but also quite innocuous on video. I actually think one of the things about Sennheiser is it's quite big, so it's fairly obvious, whereas with this it's even smaller and even tinier. And you don't need to use that foam cover if you don't want to either. So if you wanted to, you could really make this very, very hidden. Now, naturally, the main thing with anything like this is the sound quality, and I'm pleased to say that I've been really impressed by the sound quality from this little mic, to the point that I'm seriously considering using it in more of my videos, because it just delivers a very nice, pleasing sound. It's very different to the Sennheiser sound. It's a little bit louder, but I think actually it's preferable in many ways. One of the things I thought I would also talk about is cable quality, because I think that that's something that's so important, because you're going to be using these over and over again, whether you're using it yourself or you're using it in more of a professional setting, and in those cases you're going to be constantly moving the cable. Now the cable seems relatively high quality. It could be a little thicker. I'm sure they've done that to reduce weight. One of the things I do like about the Sennheiser cable is it is actually quite thick and quite confidence inspiring, whereas this is very thin, presumably to make it lighter and easier to hide. But that is something to keep in mind. The cable, although well made, does is thinner and therefore may not last as long, and it doesn't have a locking 3.5mm jack, so basically you can plug this into anything, but you need to keep in mind that this won't lock like the ones that I have on the Sennheiser, for instance, which means that there's a small chance, if you don't have a little bit of play at the end of the cable, that someone could pull it out if they do a jerk movement, which is just something you want to be aware of depending on the situation where you're filming. If you're, for instance, filming a live broadcast, having a locking mechanism can be very beneficial. Presumably the reason they haven't done that, by the way, is because the Wavo Air kit doesn't, so the wireless receivers and transmitters don't actually have locking mechanisms on them either, so it would kind of be odd to put a locking mechanism on something that, you know, then doesn't actually have any use for the product that it's intended to be used with. The thing is, of course, that the biggest competitor, in my view, is the Joby Wavo Mobile, which is their lav mic that comes with the Wavo Air kit. Now, this is a very different design. It's a much larger capsule, much heavier capsule with a rather huge foam tip on it. It's a lot larger than my ME2 microphone from Sennheiser. But on the other hand, you get 2 of these included in the Wavo Air kit, and you can buy them separately for £45. So should you spend the extra, say, you know, £15 more to get the Wavo Lav Pro over the Wavo Mobile? And in my opinion, if you're going to be recording a lot of voiceovers or just a lot of audio with the lav mics, it absolutely is. So the first thing is, obviously they're easier to hide because they're much smaller. If I just give you an idea, there's a bit of a comparison. But more importantly, I much prefer the sound from the Wavo Lav Pro versus the Wavo Lav Mobile. I think at this stage, the easiest thing for me to do is actually give you an idea of what that sound is like, because this review very much is going to be based on your opinion of what the sound is like. So let's jump into that next. What I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect my Sennheiser ME2, and I'm going to connect directly in here the Wavo Lav Pro, and then you can get an idea of what that sounds like. So in order to make this as fair a comparison as possible, I haven't changed anything else. I've tried to place it sort of close to the ME2 as I can, and this is the audio from the Wavo Lav Pro. Now, as I was saying, to me, this is a fuller, more astute sound. It very much feels broadcasty, if you know what I mean. If you've watched the news, this is the kind of sound you'd expect to hear on the news. So yeah, this will give you an idea of the sound quality from the Wavo Lav Pro. To me, it's really interesting because it looks so small, you wouldn't expect such a big sound from it, but it just goes to show that, you know, when you start getting to gear that's sort of broadcast focused, although that small size is important, the sound you get from them is just as important. From what I could tell, it's using the same audio technology, so the same style microphone, omnidirectional, as the Sennheiser is, as the Wavo Mobile, Lav Mobile is. So there's no difference there. It's simply in how they've built the microphone and tuned it in order to deliver this sound. So yeah, this is the sound from the Wavo Lav Pro. Now, I also want to give you an idea of the Wavo Lav Mobile's sound as well. So I'm going to quickly switch around and pop that where I have the Lav Pro to give you an idea of that and give you a bit of comparison too. So at this point, I forgot to mention that the Wavo Lav Mobile also has a much shorter cable. It's only about a meter and a half versus the 2.5 meters of the Wavo Lav Pro. So that's a bit of a difference there as well. Ironically, this cable is actually much thicker and much more similar to the cable on the Sennheiser. So they've clearly, it is mostly weight and indeed being able to hide the microphone, which has caused them to choose the thinner gauge cable on the Lav Pro. But yeah, this is the sound quality from the Wavo Mobile. I'll let you make your own mind up in terms of which sounds best, but to me, honestly, it's between the Sennheiser and the Lav Pro. I think that the sound they've developed and the cost, £70, is incredibly good value for money. So let's switch back to the Sennheiser unit again. So now we're back on the Sennheiser. This gives you an idea again of the sound differences, and I really do think that the Wavo Lav Pro, there's something to it. I also have a quick test that I recorded outside, so just give you an idea of how it deals with background noise. This was recorded, I'm pretty sure, using the Wavo Air, but that shouldn't really change your mind too much. I might have a sample of the XSWD kit, so we'll see which I use, but yeah, that will give you an idea of being used outside. So this will give you a realistic idea of what the sound quality is like if you're recording with the Wavo Pro out and about in a relatively busy location. In terms of sound quality, I think it's a very realistic example because you're not always going to be able to record in a studio environment, and as Joby has actually called this a broadcast quality microphone, to me this is the kind of situation you might end up in. You might actually end up out and about recording a piece to camera. So there it is, the Wavo Lav Pro. One of my most interesting products that I reviewed in a while, because again, I guess I didn't have that much experience with different types of microphones until recently, and to me this is a real contender. So yeah, I would definitely consider picking this up. If you found this video useful, give it a thumbs up, and just as a heads up to you, I do actually have a full comparison coming of the Joby Wavo Air kit, the Rode Wireless Go and the Lav Go, and then the Sennheiser XSS-WD kit coming up as well in the next couple of weeks, hopefully. But yeah, do make sure also you subscribe so you don't miss that, because I think that could give you an idea of which kit you may want to buy if you're looking to upgrade your audio for video, or indeed just recording audio. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you found this useful, and yeah, hopefully I'll see you again in the next video. Goodbye.